Okay guys, hope y'all are having a good day today. Wanted to make a video for y'all and just kind of bring together what's happened over the past 5 years with our Akorn char-griller. It's been a good grill and gotten a lot of good use out of it, but it's reached the end of its life cycle and it's about to be repurposed. Not sure into what, but we're going to repurpose it into something that we can use for maybe a planter, but we'll see. But I just wanted to take the time and kind of show you what's happened to the char-griller over the past 5 years. You can see it looks pretty rough since we first got it, and I will say that this does sit out on our deck under a partial covered awning, basically just the eave of the roof for the most part. So it does see, some rain, it sees a lot of sun, and so the fading that you see on the char-griller is because of that. A lot of rust, but it's been a good purchase and we've gotten a lot of good use out of it. Over the past 5 years, I can say that we probably use it probably once or twice a week for the most part, sometimes a little less depending on what we have going on. So this isn't necessarily what you can expect if you've purchased an Akorn. If you keep good care of it, it will probably last you more than 5 years. This has just been my 5 years with this grill, and I want to kind of highlight some of the issues that we found using it. As you can see right off, the handle has lost a lot of its paint, and a large section, well, I say a large section, a piece of the handle did come off of here. You can see that the thermometer for the dome, it's pretty much shot. It's stuck at about 460 degrees. I didn't take it out and try to recalibrate it or anything like that. It's been out for probably a month or so now. I really don't know where to begin with this except to start from the top and work the way from the bottom. The top part for the adjustment for your vent is pretty much shot, and you can see it's pretty frozen. I had to kind of knock it open, try to adjust it the last few cooks I've had. In fact, this is part of the inside that kind of holds the vent to the top of the dome. It fell out on the grill the last time I used the Akorn. I was kind of surprised, but the vent, top vent, it's shot, and this thing does get caked up with moisture and soot and stuff like that, and every once in a while when you do a high temperature cleaning, it will freeze up. So that's just something to look out for. Really, just doing a high heat burn off of your grill does kind of help this, but it will rust and it will burn out. So that's just something to think about when you're using this. Opening up the dome, the cast iron grating, I have to say I've been pretty impressed with this. There has been some rust flake off and from the use, but it's been minimal. You can see that there is some flaking with the grill. I use a stainless steel wire brush when I've used this, kind of keep everything clean. The raised grill rack that came with this, you can kind of see, sits like that. Yeah, this got pretty good use out of it. The holes for putting it in worked well for a while. I did put it in one time in this hole, and for whatever reason the cast iron seized or expanded and seized the hole and wasn't able to get that rack off, and so it just stayed there for a while. And the raised rack pretty much kept it in place for the most part when I was cooking, and finally I just got tired of it and bent it around and it broke off, and you know, kind of messed around with it and did find a way to get it in here and use it a couple times while I needed it. But anyway, that is one of those casualties that suffered pretty late on, so did get good use. One of the things that I did find that happened is, I don't know if you can see it right here, but the cast iron broke, and I'm not sure how that happened. Wasn't because it got dropped, it was just being used. I don't know if it was just a weak spot or what, but it did break right there, and that was really the only bad thing about that cast iron grill grate. It held up good. I like the high heat sear that you can get with the cast iron. It seemed to work really well when I was doing steaks or chops or just about anything. It worked really well. I don't know if you remember when we first got this going, but I bought a grill grate to go on top of the Firebox, and I had a pizza pan that I used as a deflector doing indirect grilling, and that worked really good. The pizza pan, well, it lasted for a good while. It actually rusted out just from the heat, and so it died pretty quick. I would take aluminum pans and sit right here and use as a deflector when I wanted to do Boston butts or whole chickens or hams and stuff like that. So the pizza pan worked pretty good. The aluminum pans, and you see those in a lot of videos, those worked really well. So tried and true and tested, it works really good. This grate, this grill grate, was brand new when we started out, and you can kind of see that it's pretty much rusted out and gone. It would still last a little while longer, but it's done. The Firebox, I have to say, it's held up. I was really surprised and shocked at how well it held up. I mean, it sees some rust, and where you can buy like the deflector plate, which never did get for this, it's rusted, but for the most part I can take this Firebox out and clean it up really good, and it would still function for a good while. The bottom grate in here, it's held up pretty good, which, you know, this is where all your coals and stuff go, your lump charcoal. So that piece held up really well. There is a little, I guess you could say, warp in that. Nothing really big or anything that would hinder you from cooking or anything like that. So that held up well. One of the first things that went with this grill is the, I don't know, for better terms, there was a support bar that went across the bottom of the grill, and I don't know if I can get the camera in here so that you can see, but this little metal piece right here is for the bottom pan right here, and there's a couple latches on both sides that you can take off, and the pan drops down and you can actually empty out all of your ash and stuff like that. The piece that held this up rusted out and broke after a couple years. It didn't last long at all. It burned out, rusted out, and it was gone. And so when we would take the ash pan off, it had to be really careful when you unlatched it on both sides and dropped it down. So that was a little inconvenience there. Probably not the best design. It worked, but like I said, I don't know if it was the best design. Maybe they could have used some heavier gauge steel for those brackets. The biggest issue, well, let me get to the gasket, and you can see the gasket, hopefully. It's held up pretty good, to be honest. I was actually surprised with it. It seemed to do really well. It kept the grill sealed and performed really well, so can't complain about the seal. When we get to the lower pan, the ash pan, the vent slide here, it stayed functioning pretty well. You can see the rust that's occurred over the years of use. I don't know if you can see, I'll try to move the camera in. You can see the rust along the top edge of this ash pan. Let me see if I'll try to drop it down a little bit. Maybe you can see. But it's gone. It's pretty much shot. This is a dual layered or double layered ash pan. It has an inner and an outer sheet metal type thickness, the same as the rest of the Akorn. But you can see it's broke out. And if I took this out right now, the inside of the ash pan would probably fall out. One of the things that I did notice was sitting on our deck that water did collect in the bottom of the ash pan, and so sometimes when we would empty it out, you'd have water that would collect in the bottom of it, and we would have to dump it out. Tried to keep this as clean as I could over the years, but it just, for whatever reason, it just burned out, rusted out. I mean, you can see it's just falling apart there. I mean, just falling apart. Engineering wise, I like the idea of being able to remove the whole ash pan and take it off and clean it up, because there were times we would take this whole thing apart and I'd wash it with, Dawn dish soap, clean it up with a scrub brush, put it all back together, do a burn off in it, cook off any kind of soap residue, and it held up. But for whatever reason, this ash pan, I think they could have used some heavier gauge steel, sheet steel, in the construction of this, and it probably would have lasted longer. I mean, that's gone, and you can kind of see. I'm not going to take it off. It'd probably fall apart when I did. That has been the biggest disappointment, I guess, with this. The last cook I did was a couple weeks ago, and I put the regular amount of wood in here, charcoal. I use like lump charcoal. This isn't the cheap stuff either. I know you can see the briquettes in there, but that's not like Kingsford or anything like that. This is hardwood lump charcoal. I think it's the Cowboy brand. But I would put my normal amount in, and because of the pan being rusted out, I could adjust my temperatures and they would hold really well. But after the cooking, I'd shut off the bottom vent and the top vent. I would come out and I would put my hand on it and check, and it would still be warm, you know, the next day. And I was like, what is going on? And I figured out that because of the ash pan being all rusted out and the it's not sealing and stuff like that, the air was getting into the fire and it was keeping it low and slow. So that's kind of what happened with that. Like I said, the ash pan, one of the biggest disappointments with the whole Akorn griller. I don't know if any of you had issues with yours over the years of using it. I can just say that this has been my experience with it so far, well, for the past 5 years. The little handle, grill handle for picking up the grill and moving it around, I love this idea. This was like one of my favorite things to use with the grill. I know that's stupid, but I really enjoyed this. This was a very handy tool. The shelving on the side, very sturdy. These did not rust out at all, and I mean, you can see hopefully the side. I mean, on both sides, really no rusting. I probably will take these off and use them, repurpose them for something else. But that was good. They stayed sturdy and used them all the time. Great. The casters and the wheels and everything, really nice. There was some really nice stuff about the Akorn. The hinge for the back, never had any problems with it. It stayed really, I guess you could say, secure. No problems with anything loosening up. Had they maybe put some springs on here to, you know, offset the dome weight when opening and closing it, they could have, but it wouldn't have really made that big of a difference because the dome isn't as heavy as like a ceramic lid on some of the other Kamados, the ceramic Kamados. So this held up really well. As far as the alignment of the dome top, never had any problems with it. It stayed aligned. So this was really well constructed, you know, for this grill. You can kind of get a view of the ash pan on the back side. You can see how big the gap is there from it rusting out. And there's the serial number. I don't know if you can see the date. Can't tell what that is on there. Anyway, that was the serial number, model number and stuff like that for the grill. You can kind of get a look at the ash pan down there. Latch worked really well. Didn't have any complaints with it. I know in the beginning there were some people that talked on the forums and different videos about the latch not latching down and keeping the dome with a good seal. I never had any problems with that. Once I got my heat regulated, I would adjust my vents on the bottom and the top, and it worked flawlessly, guys. really can't complain. I really can't complain. It worked really well. The only thing is, I wish that it would have lasted a lot longer for the money that I spent on this. I mean, it was a $300 investment at the time. I think they run about the same now. I got this at Lowe's, and for 5 years it's brought a lot of enjoyment. I don't get paid by Akorn char-griller to do any kind of promotional videos. Hopefully this will get to them in some way and help them with their engineering and fabrication and maybe making a better product. There's a few things that I would change about the grill to make it a lot better. Would probably, as far as the construction of the center part of this grill, I think is adequate. I think you get good heat retention. It doesn't really get hot. It doesn't seem to rust out really on the main body of this grill, but the ash pan is one of the biggest issues, I think. And then secondary is the dome, especially with the vent. You can see maybe there where it rusted out, was starting to rust out. I think that would have been something that maybe that they could have addressed with maybe beefing up the dome a little bit more on the inside, using a heavier gauge sheet metal. And you can see the thickness. I don't know, I'm not sure if that's maybe 14 gauge. I don't remember what gauge sheet metal that is, but I think if they address especially the ash pan and the engineering and the construction of it, would probably be a lot better. The dome around the vent, maybe the vent and how it's constructed and sealed with this kind of goes in there, and then these hold on to there on the inside. These little clips right here are clipped onto this. You can kind of get an idea. And this is kind of thin sheet metal, so this was going to rust out and burn up eventually over time. So my overall impression, it's been good. To suggest this to someone else as a starter into the Kamado grills, absolutely. You can't go wrong. This will help you understand really low and slow cooking with vent system, learning how to adjust your top vent and your bottom vent, and holding temperatures at certain ranges. It's a great learner tool, a great learner grill. You get really good results from it. We've done everything from, like I said, Boston butts. I could put 3 on here at a time. I've done whole chickens, done ribs. We've done hams, sausage, hot dogs, burgers, pork chops, whole loins. It's just done everything with it. It's been a really good grill. The usage on your charcoal or lump charcoal, that is one of the awesome things about these Kamado grills. It really surprised me after I started using this. Putting in a normal load of charcoal and using it for a cook, shutting everything down and then coming back for the next cook, not having to add anything to it for 1 or 2 more cooks. That was the best thing. I mean, you can't beat it. I used a Weber kettle grill for years, and every time I used it, you know, finish my cook, and then the next time I'd have to start all over with brand new charcoal and everything. With this, it was completely different. Put your charcoal in, you get your fire going, you set your vents to the temperature that you want to cook at. Once you're done, you shut everything down and you go eat. Next cook, next week, whatever, come back out and you still have charcoal and wood to use for that cook and maybe another cook, depending on what you were doing. So as far as charcoal, lump charcoal usage, you can't beat it. These Kamado grills are really awesome when it comes to that. Let's see, the lighter cubes that I use, the Weber lighter cubes, I still use those. Those work good. I know that there's some new stuff on the market for lighting charcoal and getting it going. I still have charcoal chimney that you can put charcoal in and put the newspaper under and yada yada yada. I use that every once in a while, but hardly ever for this. There are some new things on the market. The little, it's like a hair dryer with a lighter on the end of it. You put the end of it in the charcoal and you turn it on and it blows. You know, that was a great idea. I've used my wife's hair dryer a few occasions when I wanted to get the fire going and get it up so I can start cooking a little bit sooner. I'd put a lighter block in there, get it going, get the hair dryer and kind of hold it at an angle over the grill and kind of, so I like that idea. I may pick up one of those in the future. It seems really handy when you want to get your grill up to temp pretty quick and start cooking. As far as getting this up to temp and cooking pretty quick, I mean, you can do it. It doesn't take long for it to get hot and ready to start cooking. Like I said, we use this pretty regularly, once, twice a week, a few times a month, depending on the occasion. Can't beat it. If you're in the market for a Kamado grill or a new grill, check these out. Like I said, I think they're worth it if you're looking to try the new Kamado type grills. They've been out for a while. People have been using them. There's different ceramic brands out. There's Kamado Joe, there's Green Egg, there's Safari, there's Kamado or something. I don't know. There's a few of them out there. They all have their little sales pitch, but they all basically do the same thing. Weber has a version that's a metal version, kind of like this. It's pretty expensive. I looked at the price of those while I've been looking for a replacement for this. I don't know if I would want to go with another metal one right now. I'm not sure, but they're out there. Find something that's in your price range. Like I said, when I got this one 5 years ago, it was $300 and it was affordable for me, and I got in on it and I've enjoyed it, and now I'm looking for a new one to replace this. I don't know if I'm going to go back with the Akorn. I really doubt it, not because I have doubts about whether or not they're a good grill. I mean, I've used this one for 5 years and I've gotten a lot of good use out of it. It's been good, but maybe it's time to check out another brand, or maybe go to the next step in moving to a ceramic. I'm not sure. If you have any suggestions, hey, please feel free to pass those along. I'd be more than happy to entertain your opinions or thoughts. But I am in the market for a new one. I'm going to be picking up one here pretty soon. So, you know, this is right before Christmas and we got family coming in and we're going to do a lot of cooking. So it'll be happening pretty soon. Like I said, I appreciate all of you that's watched my other videos with the grill. I do apologize for not getting other videos out there, you know, showing y'all what we've been cooking on this. I did make some videos, just never did get time to edit them and and put them up for y'all to watch. But as for now, I'm going to cut this video off and try to get it up on YouTube so you all can watch it. And like I said, if you have any comments, if you want to share any of your personal experience with your Akorn griller or Kamado griller, hey, please feel free to do so. If you like the channel, click the like and subscribe button. I'm going to try to put up new content as soon as possible. Try to get this channel going, bring y'all some new content, stuff we're cooking, you know, in the future when we get a new grill. But anyway, I want to thank y'all for watching the video, and hopefully this has been helpful for you and looking for, you know, the longevity of the Akorn grill, some things that maybe you can do differently than we did, and getting, you know, more years of service out of it. You know, maybe, you know, your experiences have been better than mine, and that's great. This is just from my usage and what we've done. So hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks again, and hope to see you all on the channel real soon. All right, take care.